Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Delhi Sultanate. So when did Delhi become strategically an important city and center of political affairs in India? So Delhi became a very important city from the 12th century. Initially, Delhi became the capital of a kingdom under the Tomar Rajputs, who were defeated later by the Chauhans. The Rajputs who ruled over Delhi were the Tomars of early 12th century. Then there was the Ananga Pala who ruled between 1130 to 1145. Then there was the Chauhans who ruled over Delhi from 1165 to 1192. And then there was Prithviraj Chauhan who ruled over Delhi from 1175 to 1192 AD. By the 13th century AD, there established Delhi Sultanate, which transformed Delhi into a capital which controlled vast areas of the Indian subcontinent. At that time, history was recorded by philosophers, administrators, secretaries of administrators, and poets, courtiers who used to write about historical facts. Delhi was ruled over 300 years by five different dynasties. The first dynasty, which ruled over Delhi between 1206 to 1290 CE, was the slave dynasty. Qutbuddin Aibak was the founder of the slave dynasty. He was the real founder of the Muslim rule in India. His dynasty was also called as the Mamluk dynasty or the Ghulam dynasty. Qutbuddin ruled between 1206 to 1210 CE. He was the first independent Turkish ruler of India. He also assumed the title of Sultan. Initially, he was a slave of Gauri and became independent after his death. He had made Lahore as his capital city and was also called as Lakh Baksh, which means that he used to donate lakhs of money for development. He had even issued coins in gold, silver, billion, and copper. He had constructed two mosques, which were namely Kuwait ul Islam and Arhaidin Kajonpara, which was in Ajmer. He even started the construction of Qutub Minar. Qutbuddin Aibak died in a polo accident, and after his death, his son-in-law Iltutmish succeeded his throne. Iltutmish had a 25-year-old reign from 1211 to 1236. He made Delhi Sultanate the supreme power over northern Indian region. Many foreign tourists, soldiers, intellectual scholars used to flock in the kingdom of Delhi. He had 40 noble families who used to dominate his kingdom, which were called as Chehalgani. Iltutmish had established and funded many mosques as well as community centers, which were called as khangas, and graves, which were called as dargahs. Iltutmish was quite a cruel leader. He had told all the Buddhist and Jain subjects to be forcefully converted or to face death. In spite of having sons, Iltutmish had selected his daughter Razia as his heir. He had raised her as a prince. Razia had been educated in Quran and knew several sciences and had a lot of knowledge. She even wrote Persian poetry under the pen name Shireen. All the noblemen, which were called as Chehalgani, they were quite outraged with the thought that they will be ruled by a female ruler. They all plotted and battled against Razia and killed her in 1240 CE. Razia never used to wear women clothes. She had cast aside the veil and wore men's robes. Razia had established several public libraries, research centers, and schools. She even taught Quran and Hindu texts together, along with sciences, philosophy, literature. She was, in true terms, a great sovereign of India. The Khilji dynasty from 1290 to 1320 CE. There was a short lived dynasty of 30 years called Khilji dynasty. Khiljis were considered to be mixed origin. There was a 70-year-old Turkish Afghan noble called Jalaluddin Khilji who had taken and seized the power, and he had started the Khilji dynasty. Soon after his death, Alauddin Khilji ruled over Delhi from 1296 to 1316. Alauddin Khilji was a huge threat to the Mongol conquerors who used to repeatedly attack the Indian borders. Because of Alauddin Khilji, many forts like Chittorgarh and Ranthambore had committed Johar. It was a practice and a custom in those days that whenever a Rajput fort was about to fall, all the noble women would throw themselves into a big, huge fire to avoid being enslaved. At that time, all Rajput warriors would wear saffron clothes and go for fight till their death. There is a romantic epic poem called Padmavat, which was written about Alauddin Khilji's conquest of Chittorgarh in 1540 by Malik Muhammad Jayasi. He was a Sufi parable. According to history, Chittorgarh was ruled by Rawal Ratan Singh. He was a great warrior and also a great patron of art. Ratan Singh had a Brahmin courtier called Raghav Chetan. He had blackened his face and had chased him out of the kingdom as on a donkey because he had to face so much of humiliation that Chetan had gone to Khilji's court and told him that Ratan Singh's wife was very beautiful, that is Rani Padmini. Alauddin thus went to capture Padmini for his harem. When he saw the heavily defended fort of Chittorgarh, he asked to meet Padmini as a sister. In order to prevent war, Ratan Singh had persuaded Padmini to show her reflection to Khilji in a mirror. Khilji then abducted Ratan Singh to exchange him for Padmini. Pretending to be Rani Padmini, the queen, Ratan Singh's warriors went to his camp, and inside they had covered palanquins and rescued their king. An enraged Alauddin wanted to besiege Chittorgarh. Ratan Singh and his warriors chose to fight till death rather than surrender. Before the final attack, all the women of Chittorgarh fort, led by Padmini, dressed in bridal finery and jumped into a large funeral pyre, thus committing Johar. When Sultan's forces finally reached Chittorgarh after the war, they only found ashes and burned bones. The Tughlaq dynasty, which began from 1320 to 1414 CE. In 1320, Ghayasuddin Tughlaq, he was a court noble. He deposed Khusrau Khan. Within 5 years, Ghayasuddin died when a platform collapsed, probably arranged by his son. After the death of the founder Ghayasuddin Tughlaq of the Tughlaq dynasty, his capable military commander Jauna Khan became the Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq and ruled for 25 years in India. Now, this Muhammad bin Tughlaq is said to be a madman according to historians. Though he was well read as well as interested in philosophy, religion, culture, but he is said to be an autocratic. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is said to have celebrated Hindu festivals also, like Holi. Muhammad bin Tughlaq also raised a large army, which was quite expensive. Muhammad bin Tughlaq even introduced copper coin with the same value as silver coin. But there was a rapid forging of copper coins, which created massive devaluation and panic, and forced him to pay and replace all the copper coins in circulation with silver coins. Muhammad bin Tughlaq's rule was quite chaotic and disastrous. He even transferred the entire capital from Delhi to Devagiri, which is in Maharashtra. Devgiri, which means abode of gods, became his capital and also became Daulatabad, abode of wealth. And at that time, the entire population of Delhi was forced to migrate from Delhi to Devagiri in spite of great protest. After his death, his cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq took over the kingdom in 1351 CE. Firoz Shah was quite mild but intellectual. He allowed Sufi saints, ulema, and nobles to have a control over his kingdom. But Firoz Shah Tughlaq was quite intolerant related to religion and destroyed many Hindu temples. He even started the jizya tax on the Brahmins. But he was also interested in ancient Indian history and architecture and had renovated many old monuments. Two Ashokan pillars were transferred to Delhi by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and many Sanskrit texts were translated into Persian language. He even banned inhuman punishments like amputation of hands and feet, ears and nose, tearing out of the eyes, even pouring molten lead into the throat of any person and crushing the bones of hands and feet, which used to be practiced in those days. He did certain good deeds as well, like digging of canals and also giving employment to the poor people and practicing free charitable hospitals. Firoz Shah Tughlaq had built 845 public buildings and 1,200 gardens in and near Delhi. Jor Bagh and Karol Bagh were his favorite gardens. After Firoz Shah's death, his successors were quite weak and there was a lot of turbulence which led to the downfall. In 1398 CE, there was a very disturbing force that came thundering into Delhi. There was a barbaric attack of Turco-Mongol ruler which was from Uzbekistan, who was called as Timur Lenk. Lenk means he was lame, he could not walk properly, and was very brutal. His forces had marched across the Indus River, leaving a trail of carnage and death. He used to sack everything on its way. When Timur had reached Delhi, he had around 100,000 Indian prisoners slaughtered right in front of its gates. He even killed many people of Delhi. All the inhabitants were killed in Delhi or made into slaves to Samarkand, including all the artists, professionals, intellectuals, scholars. He had looted all the treasure from the various villages that he used to cross and move across. 90 captured elephants carried just precious stones to decorate his new mosque in Samarkand. Because of Timur's attack, northern India was devastated for decades. Famine and death had spread in most places of northern India, and also many stored grains were destructed and destroyed. People were left without food and shelter. The Lodhis, who began ruling over Delhi from 1451 to 1526 CE, they were the last ruling dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate. The Lodhis were tribal Afghans. They considered the ruler or the king to be the supreme command. The Lodhis had captured Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. The Lodhis had also funded many public buildings which were around Delhi, like the Maut Ki Masjid and royal tombs of Lodhi Gardens. They had also founded the city of Agra. Ibrahim Lodhi was the last Lodhi king who had faced many attacks from his neighboring rulers who had captured him, like Rana Sanga of Mewar. He died in the famous Battle of Panipat in 1526, fighting Babur. Babur, who was a Persian Turkish Mongol and had founded the Mughal Empire.